Hello, my name is Marcus from the School of Medical and Health Sciences. I'm lucky enough to be in a position which suits me down to the ground. For around 20 years, I've worked in companies to make sure they can do everything possible to prevent workers from being harmed. And I've travelled all over the world doing this and have lots of interesting stories about it. Over the years, I've learned how to stop people being killed or seriously injured at work, and I want to tell everyone about it. So I think the best place for me to do this is at ECU, which has the best courses and research in the discipline. We teach hundreds of students about how to prevent fatalities in the workplace. It's an amazing career with so many different parts. So now I work with industry and government to develop better ways to prevent harm and put the outcomes of that into our courses. So even though there are some really effective ways to prevent harm, none of this works unless we can get people involved. So we need to be really creative to motivate and inspire leaders and workers about how to stop people getting hurt. There's so much opportunity to be creative because unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of people are still getting hurt every year in the workplace. And we know that people in agriculture, forestry, fishing and construction have the most injuries. And we know that people driving vehicles or lifting heavy weights cause most of the injuries. So we know where to focus on. So the creative bit is to work out how do we inspire people and motivate them to ensure they don't get hurt. It's a great challenge and keeps me going. We have a lot of experienced students in our courses, so they often come to university to show themselves they can get a degree, to assist with their promotion, and to demonstrate to the community that they're competent to do so. Often they've been working for 5 or 10 years, so they're confident in their abilities. So it's really good when students let us know that we've broadened their knowledge and we've improved their critical thinking skills to make them a better professional. Preventing workplace injuries is surprisingly complex. Each organisation is different because the people that make up the organisation are different. So we need to work with everybody in an organisation, particularly the leadership team, supervisors and workers. It's all about creative thinking and good communication. Each of these roles has different needs. The leaders want a strategy and performance measures, investigations to show them how to improve. Supervisors want to know what could harm their team members and what tools have we got to assist them to prevent the harm and keeping people safe. And we also need to provide them with technical advice about the things in their organisation that could cause harm. And workers want to know about the tools to keep themselves safe. What training have we got? So we need to adapt and innovate our solutions to each organisation. One of the things that we have to do is to take measurements of hazardous materials that people are being exposed to, as they can often cause harm. If we know how much people are exposed to, we can then do something about reducing that exposure. Things like vapours from chemicals, welding fumes or dusts can all cause harm to workers. So we need to take measurements of those exposures and then we can do something about it if they're being exposed to too much. Now, the technology associated with measuring these hazardous materials is evolving rapidly. And ECU is leading an Australian project with international partners to understand how we can improve the measurements we're taking and therefore better understand how we can reduce exposure. So we're using that in our education materials. So we're generating information to assist the next generation of advisors in how to Now, the technology associated with measuring these hazardous materials is evolving tremendously quickly, and ECU is leading the Australian part of a global project investigating the different techniques we can use to measure these hazardous substances. So this research will create the resources and processes for a new generation of people who are measuring and understanding people's exposure, which will then help us reduce that exposure and prevent harm. With so many people exposed to hazardous substances, it's a tremendously exciting thing for us to be involved with.